Let's get to some of your questions in the final moments of the show for Stump the Steyn. I like this one. I've noticed you always call Margaret Thatcher Mrs. Thatcher instead of Lady Thatcher. Why is that? Well, I'll tell you why that is, if you really want to know. One of the very few pieces of advice I ever gave to Mrs. Thatcher was to tell her not to take that crappy life peerage. Mrs. Thatcher was a great lady, a very great lady, and she was entitled to the traditional gift of retiring prime ministers, which is the earldom. And she would be countess in her case. The earldom is what Harold Macmillan took and Anthony Eden took and so forth. That's the traditional gift to a retiring prime minister. And if anyone deserved it, it was her. And to have the same crappy old life peerage that people like Jim Callaghan and Harold Wilson got is just an insult to her. She achieved greatness as Mrs. Thatcher, and she will always be Mrs. Thatcher to me. But as I said, I didn't get to offer a lot of advice to Mrs. Thatcher, but that is one bit I did. She and I used to be on telly a zillion years ago on the Sunday morning breakfast show that David Frost did. I used to be on with Mrs. Thatcher's dear old daughter, Carol, everyone's favourite Thatcher. We were like the Eamon and Isabel of our day. I gave her belly laughs, which was important to her first thing in the morning. Where did I get that from? Anyway, that's a great question. Another says, any chance you can take a page from Andrew Bonar Law's book and stand for Prime Minister of the UK? Yes, I pointed out a couple of weeks ago that, in fact, Her Majesty's subjects anywhere in our great Commonwealth family are entitled to sit in the British Parliament and rise to the cabinet and become Prime Minister, as Andrew Bonar Law did from Canada's beautiful maritime provinces. But I was mentioning it with respect to Tony Abbott, the former Australian Prime Minister, who's currently on the British Board of Trade. So he's already got a foot in UK politics, and I was urging Tony to go for it. And if there's going to be a Tory leadership contest, then it should definitely be Tony Abbott who goes for it. Owen says, will we start treating the letter Z like the swastika when all is said and done? Well, people are being kicked out. I wasn't terribly up to speed on this. I didn't realise that, but we're becoming such an illiterate society that actually abolishing letters of the alphabet is a logical step for us. And we're starting at the far end. So the Z, there was some Russian guy who got kicked out of a tennis competition. Was it Wimbledon or something? He got kicked out of something because he had a Z on his sports shirt. So we're now eliminating letters of the alphabet because they're too close to Putin. Z was getting too close to Putin, but it could be P or Q next. If it's one of the vowels, we're in real trouble because we'll turn into a race of grunting, moronic nitwits even faster than we're already turning into one. Albie says, how on earth did our leaders let us get into this situation in regards to Russian oil and gas? Go ask Boris. Boris is the one who's kissing up to Greta Thunberg by going for net zero. Greta Thunberg is never going to like him. She's always going to think he's a rotter. And she's always going to stand there and go, how dare you? So kissing up to Greta Thunberg is never going to get these guys anywhere. Andrew says, are you worried the criminal world will be taking advantage of the current situation in Europe? Well, with all due respect to Inna's lovely country, it has actually one of the worst crime rates in Europe. There's a lot of crime syndicates operating there, and I don't just mean the Clinton and the Biden families, but basically the crime, it's got a Russian rate of crime at the eastern end, and then the western end is kind of low level. That'll do it for me.